Twin flames has become a more popular, trending, mainstream topic, especially within the spiritual communities. So, what is a twin flame? A twin flame is a spiritual concept of two souls split into two bodies before their arrival on Earth. Both parties, the masculine and the feminine, is in search of their other half. Ultimately, the belief is to conclude in the merging of souls, the coming together for a higher purpose, a higher mission. The idea is they share the same soul with much similarities, with complementary differences. The soul is the same, but the outside is much different. The belief is that not everyone has a twin flame, and or not everyone unites with them in this lifetime. Depending on your timelines, your mission, and your free will decisions. The purpose of it is soul growth and to mirror each other's light and dark attributes to achieve a higher ascension and to become your greater self. Believe it or not, the term was first coined in the 1970s. There's no factual or scientific research or study to back this claim on twin flames. This is generally, at best, a spiritual ideology that is believed by many and popular amongst others in the New Age spiritual community. There are said to be stages to a twin flame journey that concludes of 1. The yearning, which is when the parties feel a sense of something missing, a part of them missing. 2. The meeting, in which when we meet our twin flame in the physical, there's a feeling of an instant and at times intense connection towards one another. 3. The falling in love stage. 4. And the honeymoon stage, that's pretty self-explanatory. 5. Testing and triggering stage that leads to a runner-chaser dynamic within the connection as we get confronted with our fears and beliefs, and we enter a separation phase. 6. Acceptance, growth, surrender stage. We accept the connection, have grown from it, and put aside our egos. And 7. Union, where we come back together healed. With that being said, based upon my experience, research, and my observation, I'd like to share my own conclusion upon this ideology and subject matter. I personally have encountered this term and came across it almost 10 years ago. I was not made aware of the term and what it was because at that time, it wasn't something popular or well known as it is today. What brought me to encounter the term twin flame was due to one of my first intense connections I've had in my life, and which brought me this curiosity and need to understand more about it, and led me to research and Google the kind of relationship I was feeling at the time, as it was something different I was experiencing. And at that time, the twin flame term did resonate with me, as all the signs and the same symptoms, I would say, was present. Now, even initially, I had that thought of, this person can be my twin flame. I never was fully fixed on it, and never fully commit to claim this person was my twin flame, even if I thought about the possibility from time to time. It was a very back and forth process for me. And fast forward to the present, this is still not something I resonate with fully. And now I feel like I understand why that is. And at this point, I believe as a collective, we need to let go of this concept and ideology, as I do find that this concept can be misleading to the collective and misunderstood. Now, I'm not saying that I don't believe that this kind of connection or dynamic doesn't exist, because I do believe that this type of connection and relationship does exist, as I have personally experienced relationships in this caliber many times over with different people. But what I don't believe is the labeling of it and the belief that someone has only this one flame and that's their ultimate connection in this lifetime. I guess in this topic, I feel that people fixate on that one person being the it person or the one as if it's their one shot at happiness or their one way of ultimate fulfillment. That's the part why I can't be fully on board with this twin flame ideology. There has been many times when there was a possibility of someone being that twin flame, although I was always very careful in really labeling someone as that. In other words, I believe in the energy dynamics that exist in such a twin flame connection, although I don't hang on to the idea of it or the label or place one specific person to that twin flame label. And in all honesty, as a collective, I feel we need to transcend how we think and relate about this topic. That's where the transformation is needed. I understand that as humans, we have the habit to label things in order to distinguish them and understand better and to relate with one another and to better understand the topic we're discussing. But honestly, all relationships are our mirror. All relationships we learn from and have value to them, some of more intense magnitude than others. Because ultimately, I believe intimate connections is one of the most potent ways for us as individuals to evolve, because relationships require intimacy in all kinds of levels. So the twin flame ideology and or claim is not something that I personally fully support in. The reasoning is, I find many people keep themselves stuck in this concept, keeps them in a loop, set out to one person. And many times over, people can misconstrue and misunderstand and attach it to something toxic. A relationship that may be toxic in nature or not the most healthy for a person. And many people use the label for their reasoning to stay and wait for connections that may not be in their highest good or may not come to fruition as they hope. At some point, that relationship could have been good and a positive relationship, but any relationship can turn toxic or negative if, in fact, the expiration date is already in effect. And a lot of times in this twin flame community, people are always focused on the other party, their other half, as they would say. And when we are in this positioning, how is that for our highest good? When we are focused more on another than ourselves and our well-being. It's a beautiful ideology in theory, retrospective, although I find that staying within the confinements of this concept is ultimately a hindrance to the evolution of an individual and their growth. Because of the high risk of potential for them to remain fixated and stuck or confused. Especially with what has been promoted throughout the years in that twin flame community that I can never fully jump aboard with. Especially to people who are newer to this concept and the younger audience. I believe as a community, we should be leading each other towards a sense of empowerment versus a sense of fantasy. And sometimes we can find ourselves caught up in this concept, filled with illusions and disempowerment, as if we don't have a choice in the matter. In which we always have a choice, and no one can make that choice other than you. It can turn into a fixation quite fast, and a lot of times I find that it's our ego that is yearning for this twin flame outcome because of the idea about it and what it represents. For example, our ego is hanging on to this idea that this person is my twin flame because I can see we are going to be a power couple within the community. That can be true, but we have to avoid fixating on it, on a specific person. Instead, we should focus on the idea of what's meant for me will find its way. And as it seems, the twin flame concept seems like a repetitive dynamic that tends to keep people stuck and holding on to things and people that no longer work for us. In turn, I do believe that the twin flame idea is positioning people into a lack mindset, believing this one and only person is the other half of another, and this one set person is the only way I can fulfill the greater mission with. Which is something I don't believe in. And believe me, this is a topic I have pondered throughout my journey. as I believe we have many soulmates and many paths we can choose. From what I know, God brings clarity, and the enemy brings confusion. When we see through the lens of energy instead of labels, we can decipher and bring clarity to things much better. God and the universe is an infinite and limitless presence, so we should ask ourselves, why would God have us tethered to this one person that is our ultimate person, our twin flame, right? Especially when there's free will involved, because one person may be willing and able to put in the work, energy, time, and effort, while the other is not willing to. We can't continue holding on to someone because we believe that's our twin flame, especially if that seems to be the only valid and good reason you are doing so. That shouldn't be an enough reason to stay and stick it out. And honestly, I believe there's multiple connections and relations that we can have that is similar to what a twin flame is defined as. I personally have had multiple connections with different people that is exactly like a twin flame dynamic. But the difference is, I was different each time. I was on a different level each time. And that's part of the twin flame dynamic, is to ascend and grow after you work through and heal, whether it's together or separated. But if your twin flame decides not to do the work, then what? Do you believe that God will not bless you with another of your caliber? Do you believe God will have you wait for someone? Do you believe the universe has a limit to what you can receive? Is God and the universe not a limitless being and source as we know to be? God will send you another, and you can still be happy. God will send you an energetic match on this new level you are on. Because if your twin flame decides to not partake in this journey and go on a different path, then they will stay on that same energetic level, correct? The way I see it, it's all energy. It has no face, no name. If you want to believe in the twin flame concept, then believe in the energy. Whoever is your energetic match will be your twin flame and can and will carry out your missions if they also choose it. If they choose you and decide to commit to your missions, that's a real twin flame, not someone that could have been and didn't result into anything. It's the ego that fixates on who it is, who it has to be. Aside twin flames, relationships in general. Not everyone will have what it takes to stand beside you. What we need to focus on is whoever that will be strong enough to stand beside you. That's my unpopular take on this topic, twin flames. Again, this is your journey, so do what you feel is right for you, always. I hope my experience with this resonates for someone out there. Thanks for listening and receiving this message. Please take what you need and let go of the rest. If you have enjoyed this content and it resonates, please support in any way you can. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And I wish for all to find what they're seeking.